Starmer meets Trump for Ukraine peace talks in Washington. Zelensky meets Irish Prime Minister on the way to US. Good afternoon and Salam Malaysia Madani. Thanks for tuning in. You're watching World Today with me, Mohana Priya. President Donald Trump said on Thursday that a minerals deal with Ukraine is the security guarantee Kiev needs against Russia, brushing aside a plea from British Prime Minister Keir Starmer for a commitment of more US military support. Starmer, who was meeting Trump at the White House for the first time since the US leader started his second term, turned on the charm, saying peace in Ukraine had only become possible because of Trump. Trump said on Thursday that his attempts to arrange a cessation in violence between Russia and Ukraine are moving along rapidly, and he was hopeful for progress. Starmer said the peace deal both leaders discussed would be tough and fair, and that Britain was prepared to put boots on the ground and planes in the air to support it. Starmer is the latest European leader to meet Trump after French President Emmanuel Macron came to the White House on Monday for a friendly encounter that nonetheless displayed stark differences about Russia's war with Ukraine and the US push for a quick ceasefire.
As the President says, the deal has to come first. But yes, our teams are going to be talking about how we make sure that deal sticks, is lasting and enforced. So our teams will be talking about that. During a meeting at the Oval Office with British Prime Minister Keir Starmer on Thursday, US President Donald Trump discussed measures of the initiative led by the Department of Government Efficiency, or DOGE, established by tech billionaire Elon Musk under Trump's administration, and the impact of these actions on veteran employees. Now, Trump highlighted he hopes for a minimal number of veterans to be affected, but touted a great success in slimming down government.
And we take good care of our veterans, so we're watching that very carefully, and we hope it's going to be as small a number as possible. But we are having great success in slimming down our government. It's been really very successful, and some took payouts and buyouts, and others took other things, and some people we're finding out don't even exist. We're finding that we have a lot of people that don't exist, that people thought that did. We will be making a statement on that, but we're taking care of our veterans.
DOGE has been responsible for the layoffs of probationary federal government workers, with a significant number dismissed on the 14th of February. More layoffs are coming as part of an unprecedented campaign by the Trump administration to slash spending and shrink the federal government. Meanwhile, some 100 demonstrators, including fired federal workers and their supporters, marched in Lower Manhattan Thursday to protest the dismissals. The action was gathered under the banner of Save the Consumer Financial Bureau, CPFB. The demonstrators gathered outside the Jacob K. Javits Federal Building. The CFPB is among the agencies that have been targeted by the Trump administration's Department of Government Efficiency, or DOGE, run by Elon Musk. Musk's face was featured on protest signs, along with signs that read, "Delete DOGE, fire Musk." Chants included lines like, "Move DOGE, get out of the way." Under the acting leadership of Office of Management and Budget Director Russ Vaught, the CFPB has been effectively shuttered, with the agency's doors locked and most staff placed on administrative leave. According to court filings, signs on the agency's headquarters next to the White House have been removed, and its lease is being cancelled in a bid to create a more streamlined agency. The agency has also begun dropping lawsuits it had filed against financial firms under the previous leadership. Republicans and industrial lobbies have long reviled and even sought to abolish the CFPB, which they describe as a politically unaccountable burden to free enterprise, improperly shielded from lawmakers' oversight. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau on Thursday said Canada is working around the clock to avert sweeping US tariffs, but will have an immediate response if the measures are imposed as scheduled next week. Trump had announced, then halted 25% levies on Canadian and Mexican imports this month over illegal immigration and deadly fentanyl, with Canadian energy to face a lower rate. But the month-long pause ends on 4th of March, and Trump wrote on social media Thursday that the proposed levies will happen as scheduled until the problem of fentanyl stops or is seriously limited.
We will continue to do that work and do everything necessary to avoid these tariffs coming in. But like I said, if on Tuesday there are unjustified tariffs brought in on Canada, we will have an immediate and extremely strong response, as Canadians expect.
Trudeau has repeatedly stressed that less than 1% of the fentanyl and undocumented migrants that enter the United States come through the Canadian border. His government has, however, taken a series of steps aimed at addressing Trump's concerns, including $1.3 billion Canadian plan to enhance border security.
Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky met Irish Prime Minister Michael Martin during a brief stop-off in Ireland on Thursday on his way to a key meeting with US President Donald Trump in Washington.
Trump has said Zelensky would visit Washington on Friday to sign an agreement on rare earth minerals, while the Ukrainian leader said the success of the deal would hinge on those talks and continued U.S. aid. Zelensky thanked both Martin for his support and the Irish people for the shelter they've provided Ukrainians who fled the Russian invasion in 2022 in brief remarks while the pair met at the Shannon airport. Martin said the leaders had a warm meeting during which they discussed French President Emmanuel Macron's visit to Washington this week and the need for Europe to be centrally involved in any peace settlement. As Ireland is not a member of NATO, the militarily neutral country has provided so-called non-lethal support to Ukraine since the Russian invasion 3 years ago, including financial and humanitarian aid.
Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro said on Thursday that he would not be deterred by U.S. President Donald Trump's announcement on the reversal of a license given to Chevron to operate in Venezuela.
Si los gringos quisieran algún día un diálogo respetuoso de igual a igual, lo haríamos. Lo hemos hecho y lo haremos sin problema. Pero si los gringos quieren continuar su camino de apostar al fascismo, a la violencia en Venezuela, de apostar a las sanciones, allá ellos. Nosotros seguiríamos en nuestro camino de independencia, soberanía, paz, trabajo, desarrollo, armonía.
Trump said he would revoke the license granted by previous U.S. President Joe Biden 2 years ago by accusing Maduro of not making progress on electoral reforms and migrant returns. The Chevron license revocation means the company will no longer be able to export Venezuelan crude. And if Venezuelan state oil company PDVSA exports oil previously exported by Chevron, U.S. refineries would be unable to buy it because of American sanctions. Analysts fear the cancellation will stoke depreciation of Bolivar.
Now, Mexico on Thursday extradited some of its most notorious imprisoned drug lords to the U.S. in a bid to avert sweeping tariffs, including a cartel kingpin wanted for decades over the murder of a U.S. undercover agent.
Rafael Caro Quintero, who allegedly ordered the kidnap, torture and killing of DEA Special Agent Enrique Kiki Camarena in the 1980s, and several other top gang figures were among 29 suspects handed over. Caro Quintero was on the U.S. Federal Bureau of Investigation's list of 10 most wanted fugitives until his capture in 2022. The surprise extraditions come as Mexico scrambles to seal a deal with Washington to avoid being hit with trade duties that Trump has linked to illegal migration and drug flows. It follows Trump's designation of 8 Latin American drug trafficking organizations, including 6 Mexican cartels, as terrorist organizations. U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi said those extradited will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law in honor of the brave law enforcement agents who have dedicated their careers and given their lives to protect innocent people from violent cartels.
North Korea carried out a test launch of strategic cruise missiles in the Yellow Sea this week in a drill Pyongyang said on Friday aimed at showing off its counter-attack capabilities. Now, the Korean Central News Agency, KCNA, said leader Kim Jong-un was present at the exercise to supervise the launch.
According to KCNA, the missiles flew for 130 minutes and traveled at a 1,587-kilometer-long trajectory before they precisely hit the targets. Pyongyang said the drills were aimed at warning nuclear-armed North Korea's enemies of its counter-attack capability in any space and the readiness of its various nuke operation means. Images in North Korean state media showed Kim, flanked by officials, sporting binoculars and watching a missile destroy a small building which erupts in flames. Attending the drill, Kim said it was the responsibility of North Korea's nuclear forces to defend the national sovereignty and security. He said powerful striking ability served as the most perfect deterrence and defense. KCNA did not say where the test took place, but specialist website NK News said it likely took place near the city of Nampo, roughly 130 kilometers from the border with South Korea.
Wildfire rages in northeast Japan, killing 1 and prompting evacuations. That and more coming up next. A wildfire continued to spread on Thursday near the coastal city of Ofunato, Iwate Prefecture in northeastern Japan, leaving 1 person dead. According to local media, firefighters have been struggling to contain the blaze, which started on Wednesday afternoon, destroying at least 84 houses and triggering an evacuation order of 3,300 people.
The wildfire has damaged over 80 buildings and forced the evacuation of hundreds of residents, with military helicopters mobilized to help put it out. As of Thursday morning, city officials estimated that at least 84 buildings had been damaged by the fire. Ofunato's mayor, Kiyoshi Fujigami, described the fire as large-scale, saying around 600 hectares of land, 3 times the size of Monaco, has been burned. He added the cause of the blaze remained unknown. Local police and firefighters were searching for people who may have been injured and warned the damaged area may continue to expand. There were about 1,300 wildfires across Japan in 2023, concentrated in the February to April period when the air dries out and winds pick up.
Still on Japan, Japanese government data showed on Thursday that the number of babies born in Japan fell to a record low in 2024 for a 9th consecutive year of decline, underscoring the rapid aging and dwindling of the population. Now, according to Japanese government spokesman Yoshimasa Hayashi, birth rates were down 5% on the year, despite measures in 2023 by former Prime Minister Fumio Kishida's government to boost childbearing, while a record number of 1.62 million deaths meant that more than 2 people died for every new baby born.
昨年1年間の我が国における外国人を含む出生数は72万988人となり、過去最小を更新したと承知をしております。多くの方々の子どもを産み育てたいという希望が実現しておらず、少子化に歯止めがかかっていないものと考えております。
Although the fertility rate in neighboring South Korea rose in 2024 for the first time in 9 years, thanks to measures to spur young people to marry and have children, the trend in Japan has yet to show an upturn. Experts at the Japan Research Institute described behind Japan's childbirth decline are fewer marriages in recent years stemming from the COVID-19 pandemic. While in Japan, the most recent data shows the corresponding figure for the average number of babies a woman is expected to have during her reproductive life came in at 1.2 in 2023, which is considered a low fertility rate, as it is below the replacement level of 2.1 children per woman that is typically needed to keep the population stable over time.
Countries have reached a deal to generate $200 billion a year to help preserve the world's biodiversity on Thursday. Now, the financing deal was crucial in supporting a global pledge made in 2022 to protect 30% of land and oceans by the year 2030.
The deal was agreed at a resumed session of the UN Nature Talks COP16, which originally convened in the Colombian city of Cali last October, but ran into overtime and lost quorum. The Rome meeting was scheduled to address the issue of how to pay for nature conservation. Negotiators worked late into Thursday night to find an agreement, and the room burst into applause when the text was adopted. The United States is not a party to the UN Convention on Biological Diversity. Throughout the negotiations in Rome, countries stressed the need for multilateralism to overcome a step back from the United States in international aid and other multilateral forums.
Gunfire erupted at a rally where M23 rebel leader Colonel Nangaa called Congo indivisible on Thursday in the eastern city of Bukavu, sending crowds fleeing and highlighting tensions in a region where the rebel group has seized swathes of territory since the beginning of the year. Now, there was no immediate information on who was shooting at the event organized by the force that had battled Congo's army.
Hundreds of people were seen fleeing a blast at a rally held by the M23 rebel group in the Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo, DRC, city of Bukavu on Thursday. According to M23 leader Colonel Nangaa, at least 11 people were killed and dozens wounded in the incident. The rebels have now been advancing through the east of the country since the start of the year, seizing Bukavu and the region's largest city, Goma. The rebels have stirred fears of a regional war that could draw in Congo's neighbors. Congo, the United Nations and Western powers say neighboring Rwanda is backing the M23 group, accusations that Rwanda denies.
Pope Francis continues his medical treatment as Friday marks 2 weeks since the pontiff was hospitalized. The Vatican said in a brief statement that Pope Francis, who is being treated in hospital for double pneumonia, slept well overnight and is resting.
The 88-year-old pontiff was spending his 14th day in Rome's Gemelli Hospital after coming down with a severe respiratory infection that triggered various complications. The Vatican gave a largely upbeat assessment of his health on Wednesday evening, saying there had been a further slight improvement in his condition. Pope Francis' respiratory tract infection has required a modification of his treatment to tackle a complex clinical situation, and he will remain in hospital as long as necessary. Pope Francis was hospitalized on the 14th of February for tests and to continue the treatment of his ongoing bronchitis. Francis, 88, has been pope since 2013 and has suffered from influenza and other health problems several times over the past 2 years. The week previously, he told pilgrims at the weekly audience that he was suffering from a strong cold, which the Vatican later described as bronchitis.
The Santa Fe, New Mexican website said on Thursday that two-time Oscar winner Gene Hackman, aged 95, and his wife Betsy Arakawa have been found dead in their home in the U.S. state of New Mexico. The website quoted as saying the couple had died along with their dog and that there was no immediate indication of foul play.
The Santa Fe County Sheriff's Office said in a statement the bodies appeared to have been deceased for quite a while, but declined to take a guess as to how long. The Sheriff's Office applied for a search warrant on Wednesday evening, telling the judge the deaths were suspicious enough in nature to require a thorough search and investigation. Detectives were awaiting autopsy reports and toxicology test results. Sheriff's deputies found Hackman in the kitchen and Arakawa and the dog in a bathroom, with scattered pills from an open prescription bottle on the bathroom counter. Both Hackman and Arakawa appeared to have suddenly fallen to the floor, and neither showed signs of blunt force trauma. Hackman was an intense character actor who won Academy Awards for the violent 1971 drug saga The French Connection and the 1992 Western Unforgiven. The former Marine appeared in more than 80 films as well as on television and the stage during a lengthy career that started in the early 1960s.
Germany's Munich and Hamburg airports were hit by strikes by public sector union Verdi on Thursday, with airlines cancelling about 80% of flights in Munich. Now, Munich, Germany's second largest hub, said in a statement on its website that there was a risk that even more flights could be cancelled and that passengers planning to travel through Munich should contact their airlines.
Verdi has staged several walkouts in Germany since wage negotiations kicked off in January. A Verdi spokesperson said on Thursday the strike would last 48 hours into Friday and said more would follow if wage negotiations did not move forward.
Der heutige Streik hat dafür gesorgt, dass wir ca. 20% des Luftverkehrs haben. Bedeutet also 80% der Flüge, die normalerweise am Flughafen heute starten und landen würden, fallen aus. Und wir machen das Ganze 48 Stunden, weil in der Tarifrunde von den Arbeitgebern kein Angebot kam. Und wir wollen damit ein sehr deutliches Zeichen setzen und wir sind uns sicher, wir können auch noch mehr.
German Airport Association ADV says the strikes, as well as similar airport walkouts in Düsseldorf and Cologne earlier this week, were disrupting travel plans of almost 300,000 passengers. The airport strikes were also taking place in Hamburg.
Still to come in sports, FC Bayern Munich celebrates 125th anniversary. Stay tuned. FC Bayern Munich celebrated its 125th anniversary on Wednesday after the club was founded on the 27th of February 1900. Back then, a group of football enthusiasts led by Franz John decided to break away from their local gymnastics club and form their own football team. Now, they probably had no idea that they were laying the foundation for one of the most successful clubs in football history.
Fast forward 125 years and Bayern Munich is not just Germany's most decorated club, but a true giant of the global game. Bayern Munich is by far the most successful football club in Germany, with no less than 33 German league titles, 10 German cups and 6 European cups to their name. In recent years, they have maintained their dominance of German football by winning the Bundesliga for 10 consecutive years between 2013 and 2023. Last year, Bayer Leverkusen snatched the title from the Bavarians for the first time in a decade after going the whole season unbeaten in the Bundesliga. This season, however, Bayern are back at the top of the table with 58 points, 8 points clear of Leverkusen, who they will also face in the Champions League round of 16 next Wednesday.
Fenerbahce manager Jose Mourinho was handed a 4-match ban and fined by the Turkish Football Federation TFF on Thursday following his comments about Turkish referees after a match at Galatasaray. The TFF fined the 62-year-old Portuguese $44,000 after he criticized the match officials in a press conference following the goalless Super League draw on Monday.
The TFF explained that the penalties were due to derogatory and offensive statements towards the Turkish referee and accusations of chaos and disorder in Turkish football. In addition, the TFF said Mourinho's remarks violated sports ethics, promoted violence and disorder, and could incite fan incidents. Monday's game was refereed by Slovenian Slavko Vincic after both clubs requested a foreign official take charge. Fenerbahce issued a statement on Tuesday, defending Mourinho, saying his comments were taken out of context and deliberately distorted. Former Chelsea, Manchester United and Tottenham Hotspur manager Mourinho has previously also been fined and suspended for his comments about Turkish match officials.
And moving on to tennis, Talon Greek sport stunned top seed Daniil Medvedev of Russia in their Dubai Tennis Championships quarterfinal on Thursday. Now, the Dutch world number 47, who saved 4 match points in the second set, then needed 4 match points of his own in the decider before sealing a dramatic 2-6, 7-6, 7-5 victory.
Greek sport demonstrated impressive tenacity throughout the tournament by previously saving 3 match points against Roman Safulin and overcoming defending champion Ugo Humbert. This match showcased Greek sport's fighting spirit, especially as he went down early, but persevered, using his aggressive net play to shift momentum. He saved 2 match points during tense service games at 4-5 and 5-6 before forcing the deciding tiebreaker. Greek sport achieved the best victory of his career, now awaiting Tsitsipas next in the semi-finals. Meanwhile, Medvedev received an unsportsmanlike conduct warning from chair umpire Adil Noor after losing the second set, and in a heated exchange with Noor, accused him of double standards against a Russian. Medvedev, however, later downplayed his verbal spat with Noor, telling media at his post-match news conference that they have already talked it out and that he respects him.
And in the other quarter-final, Stefanos Tsitsipas advanced to the Dubai Tennis Championships semi-finals on Thursday following a tight win over Italian Matteo Berrettini. Now, the 2-time runner-up of the ATP Dubai took the opener in a tie-break before overcoming a second-set blip en route to a 7-6, 1-6, 6-4 victory.
Tsitsipas was starting to find his form again and playing a rather offensive tennis that helped him stop the Italian. The match opened with high tension as it quickly escalated to a tiebreak, which Tsitsipas dominated, showcasing his strong serve and strategic shot placement. Now, despite losing the second set, Berrettini bounced back to secure the next with outstanding shot making and taking advantage of Tsitsipas' weaker spots. The decisive final set was where Tsitsipas truly showcased his tenacity. After surviving 3 break points early on, Tsitsipas managed to gain momentum and create opportunities against Berrettini's serve. The next encounter will be his first semi-final since July last year. The Greek won against Italian Lorenzo Sonego and edged out Russian Karen Khachanov in the previous rounds of the Dubai tournament.
And that wraps up World Today this time round. In our top story today, Starmer meets Trump for Ukraine peace talks in Washington. I'm Mohanapriya, Malaysia Madani. From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. Thank you for your company.